Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
All right, guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. Faton, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
For people like, who the hell is Faton? Give us a quick summary.
A great question. If you ask people in Georgia, I probably don't have that good of a name. If you have asked people in New Jersey, it's probably a little bit better.
Okay.
But
why not Georgia?
So my background is I went to the University of Georgia.
Ah.
I was a quarterback there. My life was based around football. And, I was a dream chaser, and I was working hard, busting my ass when I was there. And, my only one and only opportunity I had there didn't really go so well. And, so there's plenty of people that joke about it, whatever the case may be. But my numbers and stats are definitely not anything to brag about. But anyway, I'm just.
Were you starting?
I started one game.
Got it.
Yeah. And that was against Florida in 2015. But like I said, it just my college career was not what I wanted to be. But listen, I love sports, been shaped by them my whole life, love football, still passionate about it, still train some kids in my local community because it's like breathing to me. You learn so much.
Second nature.
Yeah, and you have all this information. You're like, I can't do much with it now, but let me help. And,
right.
So that's it. So that's what I've done with it. But everybody in the area of New Jersey that I grew up with knows me for being a quarterback at the University of Georgia. But I feel like since then I've done a little bit more. So when people say like, oh, this is my friend, he went to the University of Georgia and he played quarterback there, I'm like, I've done other things.
Right.
But that's usually the biggest thing everybody mentions, which is totally fine. But listen, it was an awesome opportunity and an honor and fun and listen, an experience only I have to share.
Right.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
What do you think your biggest takeaway was from it?
It's a really good question. I feel like it's like multi-dimensional, and I feel like I can answer it in a lot of different ways. But I think the biggest thing I took away from it was things sometimes are meant for you, no matter how. Like, there's a bigger power out there that's really directing the force of what you want to do and where you want to go in your life. And I think, after my career, I realized, I busted my ass. There's no stone unturned, and that's the type of guy I am. And when it didn't work out for me in the end the way I wanted to, I just kind of, learned that there's some other mysteries of life that we haven't figured out. So you gotta let those things happen.
So what I like about that, though, about what you just said, I want people to take note on this, is that what I've learned. So I started my business 16 years ago, and I had no financial resources. My family was going to lose the house. And, I was in high school. So I was like just trying to figure out how I could help them not lose the house, because of the financial. And what you just said there really resonated with me, and I want people, wherever they are in their journey, to understand that. Because the way I took that, and it's a big, saying that I love, is that life doesn't happen to you, no matter the circumstances. It always happens for you. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, you went there, you had the plan, right? Sometimes you get kicked in the nuts. Sometimes you get punched in the face, right? Sometimes, it's a fatal wound, right? But in this circumstance, you went there, it didn't happen, and you're able to leave with some impact. And I think that's the key, man. Life is so messy. It's funny, I've been saying this now recently. I started saying this because of, with business, business is really tough. You got to make the customer happy. You got to, make sure that you take care of, the product. You got to take care of yourself, the team, if you have a team. And there's all these factors that are in business that are already weighing against you as a business owner, right? You got to go make money. Sometimes you can't close right away. So you got to wait. And then what's your financial runway, right? And anyway, for anybody that's listening right now, wherever you are in your journey, I want them to know that we all have a plan, and sometimes you got to pivot, right? And sometimes you got to stay in your ground. It depends. But bottom line is that, again, it's not you can't have that victim mentality where it's why is this happening to me?
Right.
I'm only bringing this up, not that you have that, but I have somebody, I typically mentor people too who are in business trying to grow and build. And one of the people that I was speaking to, my mentees, about a week ago, they were in that mindset. They were like, hey, I had these clients leave me. I'm in this position now where I'm like, fuck. And it's kind of similar, industry. They're in the fitness space though, and they're like, but they're a high cost over in the city. And so they were just like, I lost those clients at once, and this happened, and all these things were happening to them. I'm like, listen, what you're saying is logical, right? You lost clients. We're gonna get your next dollars from. That's a legitimate concern. It's a logical concern.
Right.
But what is different about this is if you take this as an opportunity to say, okay, well, I'm going to set my business up now so that I don't find myself in a position where I can lose clients and be like, oh, fuck, then you'll be better off for it. So get after it. Understand how you can make better services for your clients and more ways to build revenue than just relying upon 2 or 3 people.
Correct.
And they were just really down on themselves because of it. And it's like, dude, life and business are not logic. They're illogical. That's why not everybody could do it. Because if somebody says to you, hey, you're going to go from working 40 hours a week, making a salary, and you'll have vacation and your weekends and nights, weekends, to go work 100 hours a week or 90 plus hours a week to then make no money for the first few years, right? Bust your fucking ass, right? Most people are like, fuck that. I have security. I'm going to stay. Anyway, all to say, just bottom line is like, I thought that was great because, again, life never happens to us. And I'm a big believer, again, whether you believe in the universe or God or whatever,
correct.
I believe in God. And my whole thing is that, again, in these circumstances, our problems are tailor-made for us.
Right.
That's why you can't avoid them. That's why some people die from their problems. That's why some people try to run away and they never escape it because you can't escape the problems that were given to you.
True.
They're your problems to solve. So if you're out there and you're going through some shit, you got to face it, right? You got to go through the valley. So anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
Honestly, after whatever you just said, I don't remember where I left off, but like I said, it didn't work out for me. And
ask you your takeaway.
So my takeaway was, pretty much you said it best. Life happens for you, right? It doesn't happen to you, and the problems that come up happen for you. And, then I started coaching after that for a little while, about 3 years. And then 3 years into coaching, I was like, I can't do this, man. I was like, I don't know how these coaches, really, if my statement is anything, it's a respect and a salute to coaches because it's really like it's a pretty amazing sacrifice what they do to coach football, coach basketball, coach baseball, even if it's at the collegiate level or pro level, even high school level, right? It's a sacrifice, right? And somebody in that person's life is feeling that sacrifice of losing their time with that individual or what have you.
Right.
And when I was doing that, the thing that actually kind of dawned on me, I was like, what kind of wife am I going to find? I was like, what kind of family am I going to have?
Right. Do you have kids?
I don't. I just got married last year in November. So.
Congrats.
So thank you. So
when in November?
It was actually Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. No, it was.
I'm
awesome.
November. I got married in November too. I'm the 3rd.
There you go. Okay. That's awesome.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. Perfect. So anyway, I think, like I said, biggest takeaway was that, and when I was coaching, I was like, I love this. I'm passionate about it,
right.
and I think I was confident I'd be successful at it, considering my background in football already. Considering I played, quarterback at the University of Georgia, so it was almost like a layup job. I feel like, and it was almost just like put your time in, and eventually, you'll come around and be in the coaching carousel, as they say, right?
Right.
And but then, like I said, dawned on me, and I was like, I don't know, because I want to have a family that I spend time with, and
right.
And help raise my kids, and be in their day-to-day life, and then I also saw my bosses for who they were and what they were, and I was just like, I think maybe there's a little bit more cut out for me than this, because even though it's a big responsibility and it's probably an amazing opportunity to be a head football coach or an offensive coordinator, I was just like, I don't think that's for me. So that's why, and I want it to be a little bit more, I guess dynamic in ways as an individual. I wanted to learn more about what else was out there in this world.
One thing I will say, the bottom line is like, dude, when it comes to obviously you don't have kids yet, but boy, when you have your first child, everything changes, dude. Everything, and I mean that for the better, right? Like, especially if you want a kid, So like the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like when I was building adapting in the earlier phases, I'm the kind of person, like, before I get to a milestone, I'll go ask people who have been there, right? Because I don't take opinions or advice from people I don't look up to, right? And that's the problem that most people do, by the way, right? So for anybody out there, they'll go ask financial advice to somebody who's broke. They'll go ask for marriage advice to somebody who's in a broken marriage or in terrible relationships. I'm not that guy. I would so for instance, before I got married, I would go ask everybody who I knew that has been married for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, kids, great family, right? And I'd be like, dude, how the fuck did you do this? What's the fucking code, right? And they would always be like, they'd give me advice, right? And I would take that advice. So, the bottom line is I would ask entrepreneurs before, I got married, and I'd be like, dude, what is the secret to the balance? Because at the time, when I was early phase, I was working. I would leave my bed physically at 4:30 a.m. I'd be out of the house at the gym and then working, and I wouldn't be home until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Yeah. That was my normal, right? And so I never saw my wife, right? For the first 3 years of our marriage.
Wow.
And so I'm asking all these guys, I'm like, dude, how did, everybody told me this. They go, you're never going to find it unless you don't want to scale your business. That's what they told me, straight up. They're like, if you want to build a big business, you're not going to have time with kids. You're not going to be with your wife. You'll see them on holidays and weekends and, a few hours here and there, but you'll be on your phone. You'll be doing these things. And that's what I was doing at the time. So it's but I don't want to live this life though.
Sure.
So long story short, at the time, my executive coach, I tell him this and he goes, John, if you want to subscribe to what they're telling you and you believe it, then you're going to live it. He's like, but if you want to find a new way, then you're going to make it, right?
There you go.
Well right.
Hit the button. There you go.
So you hit it too. Let's go. So, but the whole thing though is so he said that to me, and so funny enough, it's interesting. I always wonder how this would have changed. Maybe it wouldn't have changed, but that a year, maybe a few months after I had that convo, COVID happened. I was forced to stay home.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Blessing, yeah.
Right.
Happens
and
for
so
you.
it happened for life happens for you, right? So now I'm home, right? And anyway, I'm with Jack, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I'm able to spend all this time with her. Most people getting divorced because of being stuck in a house. I was like, dude, I love this. And relating this all back to what you said about, hey, I want to be home with my family, with my kids. Dude, it was the COVID for me in my personal life was the best thing that ever happened because it made me realize that I'm not willing to sacrifice my time away from my wife like I did because I was never home. I was never around. I was always working 24/7. And so I respect you for making that decision before even having kids and just getting married and stuff. And also, obviously, I'm sure you thought about your own personal time too, right? Because as a coach, your weekends are shot.
Correct.
But for me, that was the biggest moment. And now having kids, so it's a good thing you made that move because once you have kids and you put kids into the mix, dude, you love your wife, obviously, right? So I got married. Now you make your own creation that is you and her. And then the crazier part is you'll start to see damn, I see my dad a little bit. Or I see my mom, or I see her mom. And then it's not just you anymore because it's your family's lineage.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, how can I be the best role model for this kid? But by you not being around, that's not how you do it. Right. So anyway, I respect it, what you said. And I want more people to understand that because I think it's a great thing. You really should, when I started the business, I didn't start my first business adapting because I love making websites or marketing. I wanted to figure out how to save my parents' house and I Googled shit, right? So I stumbled upon it. But when I first started getting busy for the first decade of my career, from 17 to 27, I wasn't on vacations. I wasn't even when I was away, I would be working nonstop the entire time. So I never had an unplugged vacation, including my honeymoon, by the way. My wife wanted to kill me, but until I was 27, 28. And I think when you look at what you want out of life, that's the thing, Faton, that I've realized is that life and your career is a lot. You have to ask yourself, what do I want? And be clear about it, right? Do I want to make a lot of money? Do I want to have a lot of time? Do I want to have a lot of impact? If you're a unicorn and can do all fucking 10 of those things, then by God, go do it, right? And get after it. But most people don't have those combos, So it's when you really figure that out, that's where you really find your success, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
I think what you just said is crucial because you said if you're a unicorn, but do you believe that there's a way to make a life that includes all of those things? Because that's really what it is, right? And I think to your point, I think from a couple minutes ago when you're explaining that, and I wanted to say this when you said it, when you hit the hype button, but it's like when you're trying to do something that's never been done before, it takes what it takes.
Totally.
Right. And there's no measurement to that. I think everybody wants to know, like, what are the hours? What are the measurements? Right. And if you're trying to, in your case, create something that is from scratch, that hasn't been done before, that's in your own perspective, that's what makes it, I guess, unmeasurable. Because how are you going to put a measurement on something that you yourself have the eye for and a perspective for? And actually, my wife said this to me. She said, well, she goes, I understand what you're saying a little bit, but she goes, only you have your vision of how you're going to get there. Right?
Nobody can understand it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's okay. When people don't understand it, or they won't understand the hours, or or you'll, your wife will get a little frustrated. You'd be like, I haven't seen you all week. It's like, I know, but trust me, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you have to have your understanding. But I think the biggest thing about what you said was that balance, and you said it's like, keep trying to find it. And the balance is continuing to try and find the balance. And I heard this one a long time ago, which actually makes me laugh. It's like, keep the plates spinning. And those the tricks where you put the plates on. I don't even know what that's called, but just do your best to keep them spinning, because that's what keeps it going forward. And the other point I wanted to make was when we're talking about why I got out of coaching, because my biggest question, or my biggest belief, is this: is whatever you want to be, great in your life, you have to spend time on it or with it, right? So totally. I figured, I was like, and if you, the way I kind of compare it to is, I'll just compare it to sports. Like, so when I was a quarterback, we would prepare and we would watch other teams and prepare for different defenses in our offense. And I was prepared as if I was a starter. And when I did that, I would always obviously get to know my opponent. Totally. Right. And I say that and because I wanted to be prepared. So the way I connect that to is, if anything is, going to be at least good, you got to spend the time with it. So when I thought about my relationship, I was like, what kind of wife am I going to find if I don't have the time to find a wife or to find a partner, right? Because you got to spend time with that partner, right? You have to invest in them and commit to them. And the way I like to say it is, especially when I talk to my quarterbacks, and if the quarterback is, for lack of a better word, like worth a shit and really loves, you could see they have the same kind of eye and passion for it. Right. Is I tell them, the deeper you go, usually the further you go up. Right. But the deeper you go, the lonelier it gets, the darker it gets, because you're by yourself. You're by yourself. Nobody understands how deep you're willing to go. I love that. So that was one thing. So that was one thing that I guess I've always understood for myself, because only I knew what kind of work I had to put in to get to where I got to. Nobody can tell me that. Nobody can take it away from me. But it kind of brings all these points we're talking about together, which is, it's kind of scary when. Let's talk about the business you're helping out with, the fitness place in the city. Yeah. Right? How far are you willing to go? And the thing is, if you're not willing to go, let's say, the distance, right, which, like I said, is unmeasurable, right, then maybe the business won't work. Maybe it'll fail, right? But maybe if you're willing to go the distance and put yourself out there, right, you at least respect the fact that you're doing your best, and then what comes on the other side, you said God, the universe, whatever, just all of a sudden kind of makes things happen for you, right? Yeah. So it's funny. People who are successful, like Rob, Rob Diedrich, the DC guy, he's like a skater. Fantasy Factory. I don't. All right. So anyway, but this guy, super successful dude, but he always says you have to create your own luck, right? So to what you just said, the intersection of putting the work in, and then all of a sudden being in the right place at the right time, it can't happen with one not being the other, right? Like, if you don't put in the work, you can't fall into this crazy opportunity, right? Because the crazy opportunity would present itself to somebody who didn't put the work in. Right. So the bottom line is, like, there's only one thing that you can't avoid. It's doing the work. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. I love that saying, the trajectory, you're pushing yourself down into knowing yourself, knowing the craft, like not going out on weekends. That's the commitment level, right? Because you got to be deep in the commitment, right? You got to 100%. Or as they say, like, jump in the pool. Like, you can't dance around the pool and dip your toes in, right? You got to head first down to the bottom. Yeah. And we got 5 minutes left here. I want to make sure, talk about what you have going on here. Sure. Yeah. So listen, New Jersey United Athletic Club. We had our first season this past year, 2024, in the NPSL National Premier Soccer League. This is a newfound professional sports organization. Yeah. Right now we're playing out of St. Joe's High School in Metuchen. Okay. But the bigger mission and goal for us is to bring together a community, New Jersey, through sports, Like I said, my life has been shaped by sports. Everyone's probably wondering, why did I get involved with the soccer team knowing I'm a football guy? Well, the reason why is because it's very hard, monetary-wise, to start a football team. It's very hard, to get into the NFL. It's very hard to, get into the NBA or the MLB. It's just like, it's an impossible task unless you have crazy cash flow. But we had an opportunity to start something really with a minimal down payment, and we're in now. We started it. We're getting followers day after day.
Good.
And what we're doing is we're trying to bring a team that belongs to New Jersey. The way I like to say it is, with New Jersey, by New Jersey, for New Jersey. Meaning it's the people in New Jersey that are saying this shit's important to us, right?
Yeah.
I think we should have our own team. We used to have the New Jersey Nets. They were awesome. I remember them as a kid. They went to Brooklyn.
That's the last time I loved the Nets.
Right, exactly. And then the other thing is, we have all these teams that play in New Jersey. We got the New York Jets, New York Giants. People say the Giants is a New Jersey team, but still, they're not. Got the New Jersey Devils. I never want to overstep them because they've been here for a while and they're a successful sports organization. And everybody in the South just goes to Philly.
Totally.
Right? So here's an opportunity for us to, like I said, pull together a community through sports, right? And our biggest thing is this, is we need to support the community before we can expect them to support us.
100%.
And the only way something like this will grow or become a hit or success, or even as influential as I hope it can be positively through sports to the youth and to the community, is when people get behind it and say this is important. Right. So that's coming from an individual like myself that, I was able to see my brothers play serious Division I college football, and that influenced me to want more, do better, push myself.
I like it.
Obviously, their guidance, helped me get to a place like the University of Georgia. It was never on my own. But when you have something to look up to, it makes it a little bit more easier to attain. But when you never see it, right, it's hard to envision. So what we thought was, at the end of the day, sports are about community. Sports are about pulling people together. And I'll just give you this one story. It was probably one of the more emotional times of the first season because it all happened quick. We had our third tryout, and it was at St. Joe's High School, and we had 55 guys show up to try out, right? That was, a surprise for us.
It's a good size, yeah.
So for our first team in the MPSL, it's almost like it's like AA baseball level, right?
Yeah.
So consider it like that level of professional. And what I noticed was there was probably another 50 people around the tryout watching. And I said to my partner, I said, how cool is this? I said, we just pulled together 100 people for this little tryout.
Right.
And then I was like, imagine it's 500 people. Imagine it's 1,000. Imagine it's 5,000.
Yeah.
Imagine it's 10. Imagine it's 100,000 packed out stadium and everybody saying that's my team and they're cheering and all that. I said, that's something worth pushing towards. Right. And the cool thing is listen, everybody wants to make money. I don't care what anybody says. They could lie day in and day out. But if everybody has money, it makes things a little bit easier. It's definitely not everything, but it makes things a little bit easier. But now, what if you pull the community together? Right. And now, what if your product was something that everybody could benefit from?
And back.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And the impact and the influence that you'd want, this brand to have is what makes it super interesting, right? And almost like worth fighting for. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just something that is, goes way beyond me. I'm hoping way beyond my life, and somebody else will say, this is what the vision was and the dream was, and it's something that will continue to grow and to be intertwined and interwoven into the community that exists. So
I love that. And where can people find you right now?
Yep.
Site, socials.
So you can look us up on our website. It's www.njunitedac.com. We're on all social media outlets and channels at NJUnitedAC. And then follow us, keep an eye on us, check out the story because right now the story is just starting. So
I love it. Follow the journey.
Yeah, follow the journey.
Phase.
And I tell everybody this, as I say this. We have a spot on our website that says "Serving You," and I say this with so much sincerity, because like I said, this doesn't exist without people deciding it's important to them. Right. So, and especially the people in New Jersey and the community. And honestly, I want to create some shit against New York. I know.
Let's do it.
I'm just sick of hearing about all the New York teams. I'm sick of them plucking out all of our talent. Honestly, we should protest the teams in New Jersey that are here and New York teams, and they should find their own spot in New York. They got plenty of real estate. They got plenty of real estate to use. But anyway, but we have a spot called Serving You, And that's one thing that we wanted to make sure we put out there, because we're here to serve the community. I tell everybody, even if you're a small business and you need me to jump in and I don't know, box pizzas, like we'd be happy to help in any way, but obviously we want to do it through sports.
Right.
But we're here to support the community, and if anybody has anything that they need help with, please just go to the website, drop us a message on the Serving You side, and I'm sure we'd be happy to help. Obviously, if you're a soccer coach, a soccer parent, a soccer player, and you're listening to this, reach out to us. I'm sure there's some way we can help you if you need it. But like I said, we're serious about serving first.
Yeah, I love that.
Because in this life, we're here to serve, man.
That's it.
And I learned that at Georgia, and it's a real thing. And when there's an opportunity to help, I like to think I jump at it. And if this organization is going to be known for anything, it's definitely going to be known for serving the community and helping. And like I said, so check that out. And like I said, be part of the story. And if you want to jump on, we need the support, now. And what's cool is the amount of growth that we're going to have is going to be exponential in the next couple of years. So I would say jump on now. You could jump on later, but usually it's fun to see something start from the jump, right? So
100%. Be a part of the journey. I love that, man. Thank you so much for being here, dude. I really appreciate it. Go follow them and be a part of the journey from the beginning.
Thanks,
I know
Sean.
I will.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate having me. Yeah.
Let's go.